Om Shri Sai Ram. Humble prostrations at the divine lotus feet of our beloved Master, Bhagavan Shri Sathya Sai Baba. Gita Vahini, Chapter 6. The Importance of Action. Krishna has no need to do action. Why realized souls do action? Wisdom is the final goal of action. The path of wisdom. Surya, the sun. Summary. Everyone must bow to the demands of nature and engage in action, karma. It is inevitable. Therefore, Krishna said, do the action that is your bounden duty. Being engaged in action is to be preferred to being inactive. If you desist from action, the task of living becomes difficult, nay, impossible. Actions that don't bind by attachment to consequence are referred to as sacrifices or offerings to God, yajna. All the rest are bondage producing. Therefore, Arjuna, give up all attachment and engage in each act as a sacrifice dedicated to the Lord. Have steady faith in the Atma, then dedicate all your acts to me. With no desire for the fruit thereof, no egotism, and no sense of possession or pride, engage in battle. You may wonder why realized souls or jnanis should still do action or karma. Their acts form the basis of dharma for all. The duty of the wise is to foster the right and to practice it before others, so that they too may be prompted to follow, drawn by the hope of becoming as contented and joyful as the wise are. They must remove the sloth and delusion of ordinary people. So, all must obey the rule of action, karma, without deviation. In this chapter, 3 important subjects were clarified. First, everyone must do action, karma, for otherwise the world will come to naught. Second, the action of the great is the ideal that the rest must keep in view. Third, almost all in the world are bound by the obligation of action. Krishna told Arjuna that spiritual wisdom or jnana is the final goal and gain of action. Wisdom is the treasure that is won by efforts to purify the mind and to earn the grace of God. Wisdom not merely grants bliss, but is itself the seat of bliss. All scriptures find their fulfillment in wisdom alone. Meditation is just contemplation of the embodiment of spiritual wisdom, which is one's real nature. All are in you. You are in all. You must get this conviction fixed in your consciousness by means of analysis, discrimination, and intellectual exploration. To know the Atma as such an entity, unaffected and unattached, is the secret of spiritual wisdom. Every single act of yours must be carried out with this wisdom as its background. The sun is the supreme arbiter, the maker of humanity's destiny. Whether one wills it or not, every deed is performed under his auspices and dedicated to him. Surya is the great renunciant, unequaled for renunciation. He is the great yogi. It is only in the duty or karma that is your very nature that you can have fortitude. Assumed duty will induce conceit or the feeling of I am the doer. So it will result in exhaustion or elation, disgust or pride. If Arjuna was not a vessel endowed with such virtues and splendor, Krishna would not have used him as the recipient of the Gita. The Lord will not give gifts to the undeserving. Arjuna had the qualities that were needed for receiving the teaching, and he was chosen. Key takeaways from this chapter. First, acting of any kind tends to numb us into indecision or inactivity, fearing the consequences. Will it be beneficial or harmful? Will it be successful or a failure, etc.? Instead, If we followed the teachings of the Gita, we could exercise our best judgment, invoke the Lord's grace, and simply act as we see right, completely accepting whatever results may arise without any sense of doership, just as a mere instrument of the Lord. This would then free us from the karmic consequences and effortlessly deal with whatever we need to. Second, the selflessness of the realized souls is an act of incredible compassion on humanity. Though personally unbound and free, and not needing to do anything for their own redemption, they voluntarily bind themselves within the limits of karmic laws and perform actions to the benefit of all, merely to serve as examples and help mankind redeem themselves and discover its true identity. Truly, the realized saint is the very image of compassionate God. Third, the personification of the sun or Surya as the ultimate yogi is beautifully described in this chapter, where the eternally bright sun burns itself to produce light and energy for the world, without thought of reward or self-glory, just doing what it must, being its truest nature, and as a consequence providing the pathway for many to live and realize themselves. Fourth, Arjuna was an accomplished man of exceptional talent and skills. Yet the Lord chose him to reveal the Gita on account of his noble qualities and not his abilities. While we may individually differ in skills, talents, or even intellectual prowess, we have an equal opportunity to instill within ourselves the purity of intent, compassion, and humility to enable the deservedness and eligibility to receive the Lord's grace. Let us continually serve and strive in this direction. End of chapter 6. Jai Sai Ram.